The hidden reason Wells Fargo broke trust with millions of fake accounts. What if your bank opened accounts in your name without your knowledge? In 2016, a scandal erupted that shook one of America's largest banks to its core, Wells Fargo. This incident not only tarnished its reputation but raised serious questions about trust in financial institutions. This wasn't just a tricky sales tactic. It was systemic fraud on a massive scale, directly involving millions of fake accounts. As the shocking details emerged, a critical conversation began about accountability and ethics in banking. A close examination of the mechanisms at play reveals not just failures within a corporation, but also far-reaching implications for consumers, regulatory bodies, and the broader economic landscape. To understand the Wells Fargo scandal, we must examine the environment that allowed it to thrive. Wells Fargo, founded in 1852 during the California Gold Rush, grew to be one of the four biggest banks in the United States. By 2016, the bank's culture and aggressive sales strategies were already entrenched, driven by ambition to outpace competitors in a fiercely competitive banking landscape. The bank's CEO at the time, John Stumpf, who was leading the bank from 2007 until 2016, supported a sales-driven culture that emphasized aggressive cross-selling of financial products to its customers. Senior management implemented a quota system, pressuring employees to sell an unrealistic number of products. Reports showed that employees were often expected to sell 8 banking products per customer. In this cutthroat environment, employees faced significant incentives to meet these towering targets, which included bonuses for those who excelled, but dire consequences for those who failed. This systemic coercion created a pressure cooker atmosphere where employees felt it was necessary to bypass ethical standards, with many taking desperate measures to avoid the prospects of losing their jobs. The problems began when employees started opening unauthorized accounts, a practice that led to widespread deception. These accounts included checking or savings accounts, credit cards, and even lines of credit created without customer consent, driven by the belief that the ends justified the means. As this exploitative strategy aimed at maximizing profits quickly spiraled out of control, the scandal was not merely a lapse in oversight. It exemplified a deeply embedded ethical crisis, intertwined with the very fabric of the bank's operational blueprint. Let's break down precisely how this fraud unfolded within Wells Fargo. At its core, the scandal was driven by a toxic mix of corporate culture and misguided incentives. Employees not only faced rewards for achieving sales goals, but also explicit pressure if they fell short. Employees were given quotas that were not only unrealistic, but were set up by managers incentivized to prioritize targets over ethical considerations. For example, during a call with investors in July 2015, Stumpf framed the cross-selling strategy as a key competitive advantage, a statement that underscored the priority the bank placed on financial performance above all else. To meet their objectives, some employees resorted to deceitful methods. An internal email from 2013 revealed that bankers would sometimes use customers' prior account information to open unauthorized credit card accounts, further illustrating the lengths to which employees felt compelled to go. In a more egregious example, employees created fake email addresses and even generated social security numbers, enabling them to set up accounts that customers never requested. Some employees transferred funds into these fake accounts to make them appear legitimate. This allowed the fraudulent activity to be concealed from the customers for as long as possible. Over the course of 4 years, from 2012 to 2016, Wells Fargo reported creating approximately 2.9 million unauthorized accounts, an astounding number that displays the sheer scope of the malpractice. The structure that facilitated this fraudulent behavior was rooted in the performance metrics established by the bank, which relied heavily on a sales culture that incentivized misconduct. Employees felt that their livelihoods hinged on fraudulent behavior, illustrating a textbook case of the agent problem in economics, where the interests of management do not align with those of employees or customers. To further exacerbate the issue, the complaint system within the bank was ineffective at genuinely addressing consumer concerns about unauthorized accounts. Many complaints were dismissed entirely, allowing the toxicity of the culture to flourish unchecked. Initially, Wells Fargo's upper management, including Stumpf, seemed oblivious to the accumulating complaints, believing their aggressive sales techniques were bolstering profits. However, a closer examination revealed a stark disconnect. Branches excelling in sales metrics often reported the most customer complaints. In fact, a 2015 report from the Los Angeles Times indicated that customers had been reporting unauthorized account openings for years, yet the bank failed to take adequate action to investigate or fix these issues. When the bank eventually recognized the extent of the issue in 2016, it sparked a swarm of investigations and lawsuits that unveiled the true scale of malpractice. The implications of the Wells Fargo scandal were profound, reverberating throughout the banking sector and beyond. In September 2016, the Los Angeles City Attorney filed a lawsuit against Wells Fargo, triggering widespread public outcry and intensive government scrutiny. The scandal led to substantial financial penalties. The bank was fined a staggering $288 million from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency and an additional $100 million from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. These sums marked one of the largest penalties ever imposed against a financial institution for wrongdoing, sending shockwaves through the industry. Following the revelation of these practices, Wells Fargo's stock price plummeted nearly 16% within weeks, resulting in a loss of over $20 billion in shareholder value, a massive hit for a company once esteemed for its integrity. The effects reached millions of customers adversely impacted by this fraudulent scheme. Many were charged unexpected fees for accounts they never authorized, leading to plummeting credit scores and significant erosion of trust in what was once viewed as a respected institution. Additionally, Wells Fargo had to pay over $400 million in various settlements, including restitution for customers who suffered damages due to unauthorized accounts. The impact of this scandal went beyond immediate financial repercussions. It eroded consumer confidence, further etching distrust in the financial system. A survey conducted by the American Bankers Association in the aftermath revealed that nearly 80% of respondents felt less assured about their banks post-scandal. This sentiment echoed across not just Wells Fargo, but the banking sector as a whole. The Wells Fargo scandal serves as a glaring example of what happens when corporate greed collides with unethical business practices. The fallout extended beyond the bank's internal policies and raised systemic questions about regulatory practices across various sectors. In recognition of the implications of this scandal, the federal government commenced comprehensive reviews of existing banking regulations, with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency initiating a series of hearings to understand consumer protections better. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau ramped up its monitoring and enforcement efforts, laying the groundwork for stricter accountability measures for financial institutions. This incident catalyzed a substantial shift in the consumer landscape, galvanizing public awareness around ethical banking practices. Customers began to demand greater transparency in financial operations, prompting a wave of accountability unprecedented in the industry. The complex blend of pressure, culture, and failed oversight at Wells Fargo illuminates systemic issues inherent in many financial institutions. After the scandal, several banking executives and boards took a long, hard look at their own practices. There was increased call for ethical training and the immediate reviewing of sales practices at banks nationwide. Charlie Scharf, who took over as CEO in October 2019, acknowledged this need for change, stating that integrity and accountability must redefine the bank's core values. The entire incident raised flags about the importance of consumer watchdogs and proactive governance, illustrating the need for a balanced approach that weighs profit motivations against ethical considerations. As you consider the fallout from the Wells Fargo case, ask yourself, what does this mean for you? The banking system, like any other institution intended to serve the public good, relies on trust and transparency between consumers and financial entities. This scandal serves as more than just a cautionary tale. It underscores the necessity for individuals to be vigilant and proactive in understanding how their financial institutions operate. It serves as a potent reminder that higher returns or seemingly attractive offers may often come with higher risks, not merely in investment terms, but rooted in ethical considerations as well. Knowledge and awareness of your bank's practices can empower you to make informed decisions that ensure your interests are consistently prioritized. In a world where millions of fake accounts were opened in unsuspecting clients' names, it has never been more critical to take control of your financial well-being. Engage with your bank actively, investigate its practices, and question any discrepancies you observe. Your trust is invaluable. Maintain it with care and hold those in power accountable. Ultimately, the most significant lesson gleaned from the Wells Fargo debacle is that fostering a culture of integrity and responsibility in banking is not only crucial for the institutions themselves, but essential for the health of the entire economic system, one that relies significantly on trust and transparency. And so the deeper question remains. When the institutions we trust most are quietly turning our own names into fake accounts, who is really watching the watchers? If you found this story interesting, hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep making these videos. Tomorrow, we are diving into a story that is just as shocking: Goldman Sachs and the 1MDB scandal. You will not want to miss it. I will see you there.